to explain and to express the thoughts that I have on my mind right now, or perhaps one of the greatest challenges that I can say I have ever faced right now with you here on YouTube. It's not easy to bare your soul before potentially hundreds of thousands and even millions of people. But that is what I'm doing today. What I want to share with you is my belief in God, Yahweh, the Creator, the Most High, the Almighty, Jehovah, Allah, and all of the other many names that describe Him. I believe that we on planet Earth are not alone. And I'm not talking about aliens. I believe that mankind was placed here on this planet for a reason. I don't believe that there is a democracy or a choice as to us fulfilling that purpose. It's up to us. What is up to us is to decide that we are going to live according to a certain principle, standard, conduct, and that's it. Man calls it religion. I call it, for lack of a better expression, my relationship with the Most High. You can say you're Baptist, you can say you are Muslim, Pentecostal, Apostolic, Presbyterian, Catholic, Mormon, even agnostic and atheist. It doesn't matter. The purpose of this session right here is not to point out anyone or to demean or degrade someone's belief. Albeit it is sort of difficult because there are some things that we have grown up with since an early age, and we become pretty adamant about our belief or belief systems, and we will not allow anyone to tread upon that belief system because it's all that most of us know, irrespective of how we came, when we came. We hold dear our belief systems because they're very much part of our identity. If you were to ask me, brother teacher Reginald, what's your religion? I don't have one. That's my answer. I don't have a religion because religions were made by man. There is one God. I believe that that God, that Creator, is all-wise, all-knowing, and the most intelligent being or deity or creator in the universe. He doesn't have to deal with men in diverse ways. I believe that He has one plan for mankind here on earth. And I don't believe or subscribe to the fact that there are so many religions and belief systems that argue and debate with one another as to whose doctrine is correct, whose doctrine is incorrect. I do believe that the Creator knows us. He knows His creation. He's not confused. And I do believe that He has His purpose for us. And His purpose doesn't have to be ours. His reason for us being here is His business. And we don't have a choice but to follow. And if we don't follow, then we know that there is some consequence for not following. Especially if you are enlightened and you do comprehend that He does indeed have a plan for you. Not to confuse you. Maybe you don't have a relationship with the Most High, with the Creator. I have no control over that. Maybe you don't believe that there is a God, despite all of the magnificence in the universe that we see every day. I mean, who could have placed the sun in orbit in the sky that rises seemingly every single day on time, never missing a beat? And the moon is counterpart that gives its light in the darkness. Not to mention all of those tiny stars that sit out in the moonlit sky at night. Who could be responsible for vast oceans and waterways full of millions of sea life and river creatures and lake creatures? Who is responsible for all of the birds that cover the sky throughout the world and the vast species of birds and insects and creatures that roam the lands throughout all continents? It has to be something behind this vast circle of life. I would venture to say that it has to be an intelligence much greater than us. You see, we die. We died a clinical death, never to return again as we were. My brother died many years ago. I've never seen him again. My great-grandmother, my grandfather, my grandmother died many years ago. Haven't seen them again. Some of my closest aunts and even cousins passed away. And friends. I've never seen them again. So that lets me know that death, this body dying, that death is permanent. But I know someone, and I believe someone that's greater than my understanding, who knows all things, who is responsible for all life as we know it. I believe that He controls the power over life and death. And just as He created life, He can take it and He can restore it. That's it. Now let me tell you something interesting. As I've gotten older, I've had my moments in my life where I wanted to doubt the Almighty. And it's difficult not to. And what I mean by that is this. Sometimes, and even oftentimes, when our backs against a wall, sometimes when we experience certain things in life, relationships break up and crumble. And we don't know what to do. We cry or lament, and to no avail. The problem is still there, and oftentimes it gets worse. You're in a relationship with someone who doesn't love you the same, and they want to leave you, and in fact sometimes do leave you, and you're left alone. I'm not going to say that this can be painful. It is painful. And I don't care how big of a person you think you are, or how courageous and how strong you think you are. When you truly love someone and they don't love you back, this can be devastating. When you lose a loved one, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, your husband or wife, someone who you have grown up with and have known and bonded with for many years of your life. And as much as we love to see life coming into the world when a baby is born, oftentimes we take these things for granted when life is taken away from us. We assume that there will be a tomorrow, and I'll meet up with you at your house, or at the movie theater, the restaurant, or at the party, or at the club, or the library, wherever, or we're gonna go on vacation together, or go have an ice cream cone together, go for a walk or have lunch and reminisce about what happened just the day before. We assume a lot sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. Oftentimes we believe that we will be here forever. But who knows? The scripture says, boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. We don't truly know. I have been in the company of friends 1 week, and the next month I get the news that they have passed on. We just never know. So, brother teacher, what is the purpose of this video? The purpose of this video is to get all of you that would to truly think about how special you really are and how important life really is, and how that we should deem each and every day as value. I say it again, as value. Our day should never be one where we say, this was such a terrible day, this was the worst day in the world. We should always try to hold on to some glimmer of hope that tomorrow will be a better day. We should. And as I said earlier, there have been times in my life where I wanted to doubt that there was a God, a creator, by virtue of my circumstances. Sometimes carrying what appeared to be the whole world on my shoulders. Have you ever been in that situation before where it seemed like you carried everything in your relationship? That you were the only one that seemed to have some voice of reason in the relationship, but the other person wasn't listening to you. It seemed that everything that you tried to say to try to reconcile the differences fell on deaf ears. And as I said, you can't make someone love you who doesn't love you. It's hard. It's hard to let go. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about my own experience. You see, I've been there. I've been in a relationship where I loved, and I come to find out that the other person did not love me the same. And I had to pull on something to keep me together. Many sleepless nights. Many times I cried myself to sleep. I cried until I couldn't cry any longer. Then I ended up just simply accepting that it was what it was. No matter how hard I wanted to believe that it was not what I was experiencing. But what kept me together was my belief in the Almighty. It did. It kept me together. And as I said, I got to the point, and not just in the relationship situation, but in many other situations, I got to the point where I began to question if the Almighty was there. How is it that you could allow me, who was striving to do the right thing, who was striving to walk a certain way, who was striving to treat all of those that I came in contact with in my life as if I wanted to be treated? How is it that you don't hear me? How is it that I have not been delivered from this situation or this circumstance? Have you forgotten me, God, Yahweh, my Creator? Why do you leave me alone? Why haven't you answered me? But I feel compelled to say this, and I don't know if I can go any further. Now, as I said before, I was talking to everyone in this video, even the non-believers, those that don't believe that there is a God or Creator or a Jesus Christ, Yeshua, the Messiah, or Allah. Maybe this video is not for you, and maybe it might get you to think and maybe even change your mind. But for those of you who do understand where I'm coming from, I want to encourage you today to hang in there. Whatever you may be going through today, I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that. And I want you to believe that. You see, there's a lot of distractions in the world today, ladies and gentlemen. Things that can pull our attention and our mind in so many different directions and take us off of our focus, our true focus, which should be the Creator. Because He's our refuge. He's our true strength. He's our true consolation. No human being on this planet can console you the way that He can. And He uses people oftentimes to do that. If you're going through a relationship issue, and a bitter one, marriage, divorce, you just lost a close friend, you lost a relative, your mom, your father, your brother, your sister, your child, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents. This message is for you to hold on and to hold out. Sometimes we want to turn to the bottle, to the beer, the liquor, the alcohol, to try to mask the problem, but it's still there. Once you sober up, it's still there. Sometimes people want to turn to other harder drugs. Sometimes people want to overeat or not eat at all. Some people consider suicide and may even attempt suicide. And may even want to become violent against other people because they don't quite know how to cope with their trauma, with their pain. But let me tell you this. If in your heart right now, as you're listening to me, you believe a little bit that there is a magnificent God that sits on high and He looks low, don't give up on Him yet. Hold on, because your help is coming. And it's not going to come necessarily when you expect it to come, but it's coming. Now, this message is not just for you, but it's for me as well. And here's the part that I was going to say to you, and then depart, conclude this message. There was a man in the Bible by the name of Job. In the books of poetry, the book of Job is one of those books. And Job was a man who loved the Almighty. And he went through the loss of his family, the loss of his wealth, his property, to the point where he was even afflicted physically. And he never, ever cursed God. He held on no matter what the tribulation was. He held on. And I'm going to paraphrase when I say this, but it is what he said. He said he looked in one direction as he was going through his problems, his pain and his suffering. He said, I looked here in the place where I know God always operated, and I couldn't find him. The place that he always came to me, he wasn't there. He said, when I looked in this direction where I know he would come to me when I needed him, he was nowhere to be found. And I looked on the right side. He was nowhere to be found. And then he concluded by saying this. He said, he know, and I want you to know this, as long as you are sincere and earnest and contrite in spirit and humble, the Almighty will come in a magnificent way and commune with you. Job say, though he slays me, yet shall I trust in him. And he also said, all of these places where I looked, where he normally is, and I couldn't find him, he know the way that I take. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, just because the Almighty hasn't seemingly answered your prayer, just because you don't have an immediate answer to your circumstance, if you earnestly are still seeking Him, please understand that He does know the way that you take. And He's going to rescue you from all of your worries and your troubles and your trials. Don't stop believing. And don't ever stop trusting in the Almighty. I wanted to do that. I did. I wanted to stop trusting Him because there was so much adversity around me. But I don't know anything else. That is the thing that held me together. I don't know anything else, and I don't know anyone else that could deliver me, that could possibly deliver me from my troubles, and that could deliver even you from your troubles. It's only one Creator. And I know this for certain. If He never answered my prayer, if I could never see the manifestation of His deliverance right now, it doesn't mean that He has left me alone. And I want you to know that as well. He hasn't left even you alone. This is Brother Teacher. May the Almighty Creator continue to bless you and yours forever. Amen.